Welcome to the PIF Playback. I'm your host, David Ray. This is a show where we do an overview of the events that happen at the Prairie Improv Federation pay-per-views. It's hitting all the highlights, the major stories, and that way you can be ready and fully invested for the next PIF show, which is going to be coming up this weekend, July 13th, Saturday, 7 p.m. at the Grindstone Theater. It's called Extreme Fools. But that is this coming Saturday. This show, we are going to be talking about what happened back in June at the event known as Roasting Grounds. If I were to summarize the story of the Roasting Grounds pay-per-view, I think it would be, what is the goal of improv? You can see it through the superstars as they're talking about their goals and motivations, and you saw it in the matches, you saw it play out across this show. In particular, in the first and last segment of the night. So we're going to start with that opening segment where Hope comes into the backstage of the theater, where she's greeted by the four other competitors of the night. And you have Hope, who just wants to do improv for the love of improv. She wants to support the other superstars. And meanwhile, she's facing this caustic environment where Delmore comes out and threatens her.
I bet you like your eyes, don't you? It's not just normal, I've got tools to take things that you like away from you. Something to think about.
Hope then moves from Trudel and talks to Helen from the PTA, a newcomer to PIF, who was recently divorced.
Come to ourselves! Oh, it's just kidding! Something! Oh, I don't know. It's hardly flattering, is it? No, hardly.
Hope then speaks with Christina Lipstick, the PIF superfan, and one who clearly is there more focused on the backstage romances and drama and her own fanfic-based approach to PIF. And you can see that it's off-putting for Hope, who just wants to do good improv.
Christina from the fan club!
Yeah, that's right. They let me do improv now.
They did?
Yeah. Yeah, I asked him over and over and over and over again, and he said yes.
He did.
Yeah.
Say yes.
And finally, Hope speaks to Liam, the Cape Canaveral, who's going to be challenging her for the title later that night in one of the most brutal matches that there is in PIF, known as the Roasting Grounds match, where the premise is you mimic the other person to make them look foolish. And it looks like Liam is ready to compete with her for this belt. So now I'm going to go out of order, and I'm going to kind of focus on the different superstars and kind of their journey, and try to make it a little bit more succinct that way. And first we're going to start with Delmore, the two-time champion of PIF, and who's been relegated to the lower card due to her poisoning the lone stranger in a previous episode of PIF. However, Winston feels bad because he knows her talent and how she deserves to be in contention for the championship. So he decides if she is able to overcome a mystery opponent of Winston's choosing, he will allow her to join the #1 contenders match that will be happening between Christina Lipstick and Helen from the PTA. And this gets her excited. And later on in the evening, we find out this mystery opponent is Winston himself, because Winston is full of himself and he thinks that he is the greatest improviser in the world. Like, how full of yourself do you have to be? Does he think he's Shane McMahon? Come on, get it. Grow up, Winston. Because Trudel mops the floor with Winston, frankly. And Winston allows her to get into that #1 contenders match. As I said, Helen from the PTA is one of the competitors in this #1 contenders match. And in an interview before the match, we find out the reason why she's doing this is to prove herself to someone.
But yeah, my husband walked out of our marriage, so here I am showing him, fuck you, Chad, I can do whatever I like.
Helen then mocks her opponent Christina, and it's clear that she is driven to win this championship. Maybe as driven as Trudel. However, unlike Trudel's desperation, Helen has this air of coolness around her, that she is just wanting this to prove herself to her ex-husband, and nothing's going to stop her. It's this aggressive kind of persona that I think is going to do her very well in PIF, especially in contrast with the champion Hope, who just wants to do good improv. I don't know if Hope will be able to continue to stay at the top of the card when you have people like Trudel and Helen coming after her. So let's talk about this #1 contenders match. It's between Christina, Trudel, and Helen. And I'll speak about Christina a little bit later on. Although she is in this match, her story is more connected with the championship match. But in this three-way match, you can see that Helen gets the edge on it. Trudel has just come freshly off that match with Winston. Helen has the edge, and especially with her killer instinct, she's able to play a wonderful character in this absurdist comedic scene. Everybody does well in it, but Helen has some of the greatest one-liners in this. It's definitely worth the watch. And it's proving that she has that ability to rise to the top of the improv sports entertainment because she is so ruthless. Following the match, there's a spat that breaks out between Christina, Trudel, and Helen as they're trading barbs, trying to kind of assert control over PIF in their own way.
So much better when we had the original title card, when Trudel was on the top, right? And everyone knew where they were, and you just come in as like this new person who adds new things to entertain them.
Wait, PTA, why do you throw blood on fur?
Jealousy is a very ugly color on you. I wouldn't try it on her.
That haircut's an ugly hair on you.
And seeing these three women fight really bothers Hope, because it's kind of a culmination of the whole evening for her. She doesn't know how to support them, and they're not supporting her because they just desire that belt that's around her waist. And she confronts Winston at one point about how this is not what improv is. Improv is supposed to be about fun. And it leads, this is the scenario that Hope finds herself in, leading into this roasting grounds match where the premise is to make fun of your opponent. How is she going to be able to compete in that? On the flip side of this, we have Liam the Cape Canaveral, who has stated to Winston that he is not going to hold back on Hope. Even though he may get along with her and thinks that she is a wonderful person, he's not going to hold back. And in the match, the two of them go gentle on each other at first, and then they start ramping up the insults against the other individual. However, Hope holds back. It's not in her nature to insult another person. And Christina actually interferes in the match at one point, helping out Hope. But she's not really there to help Hope. She is there because she feels that she was wronged by Liam for kind of a strange reason that she stated earlier in the night.
He left for Mars a few shows ago, and he went with what has got to be the most wonderful Martian lover ever. And I mean, nothing official, but they went to Mars together, and according to my fan fiction, they have had many half Martian, half human children by now. And the thing is, I'm really sad. And I'd be listening to things to make me sadder because Liam is back here, and that means he has left behind his Martian partner, he has left behind all 12 of his children, and that is just shirking his duty as half of my OTP, and that's just not fair.
despite the interference, it was not enough to turn it around for Hope, because Hope, I would say, gave up in the match. She did not want to insult Liam. And so Liam wins the championship, and he is ecstatic. And Hope is kind of torn up by the scenario. But she is joined by Helen and Christina afterwards, and they comfort her. And in kind of a thing of solidarity. It was an interesting end. Liam getting the championship, arguably because Winston has shown favoritism to Liam in the past. Liam having that killer instinct to go in for that belt. But yet Hope was able to maintain her good-natured character and found support in PIF. So there could be hope that friendliness can still thrive in the world of PIF and the improv therein. It'll be interesting to see what happens to Hope in the future. Is she going to be able to maintain this friendly movement in PIF? We'll have to see. And that's where we land at the end of the Roasting Grounds. It was a great show. There were some very good moments, and however, I have to say that Winston is, I don't know if he's doing a good job with PIF. He is clearly there just to stir the pot and cause drama. To the point that there was not even an improv match until 25 minutes into this. What is this, WWE Raw? Who do you think you are, just waiting so long? Come on, we can be better than that, I think. It's ridiculous. But nonetheless, I am looking forward to the show this weekend called Extreme Fools, where it's going to be all a bunch of stipulation matches. It's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully you can come out and see it, and I encourage you to do so. Go follow Sorry Not Sorry Productions on Facebook, or on Instagram and Twitter at SNSYEG, and you can get all the updates of all the different shows that they do. But come and see PIF live. It's a pile of fun. As I said before, if you want to watch the full episode of PIF or other episodes of Sorry Not Sorry Productions, you can find that on the YouTube page here. And thank you very much for watching. I've been David Ray, and we'll see you next time on the PIF Playback.